And welcome to the virtual meeting for the Daly City Library Board of Trustees for October 20th, 2020. Before I get started, I'll go ahead and read the COVID-19 announcements for public meetings. Pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2520, members of the Daly City Library Board and staff will participate in this meeting via teleconference. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream and submit comments through the live stream website and/or submit public comments via email prior to the public meeting. To submit a comment in writing, please email libraryboard@dalycity.org and write public comment in the subject line. In the body of the email, include the item number and/or title of the item as well as your comments. All comments received by 4 p.m. will be emailed to the library board members and included as an add to packet on the city's website prior to the meeting. Those comments received after 4 p.m. will be added to the record and shared with the library board members for the public meeting. Persons with disabilities who require auxiliary aids or services in attending or participating in this meeting should call the office of the city clerk at 991-8078 as soon as possible. So I call this meeting to order. Shall we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have roll call, please?
President Lugarta.
Present.
Vice President Faupua.
Here.
Trustee Daus.
Present.
And Trustee Ruvivar.
Here.
And Trustee Santos will be joining us later.
Thank you. So I hope everybody's had an opportunity to review tonight's agenda. If there are no updates, may I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And for the minutes from our last meeting on September 15, 2020, is there a motion to move?
I motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we have a jam-packed schedule today. We do have the city attorney joining us. Is she on?
Yeah, so tonight we will have her joining in probably just a couple minutes.
Okay.
She just texted me. So, but before we start with that, I did want to say a few words, if that's okay. About just how we'll continue to explore the role of a trustee together this fall. Our city attorney has a big presentation tonight on the Brown Act and also roles as well. So that's going to take up a lot of time. So, and discussing roles together, I think, is a bigger conversation than time permits this evening. But next month, we can take a deeper dive. This is a topic that other commissions like to check in with each other on as well. So I think it would be good for our group. When the City Council created the Library Board of Trustees, they did envision a group of leaders like all of you that would advise them on library matters and also stimulate public interest in our libraries. So as trustees, you have this really interesting dual role. You're advising staff on library programs, including like maybe what the needs are out there in the community, but you're also helping us provide information to the community so that more people participate in library programs. So it's a really great community-facing role. I know our city attorney will cover some of this in her presentation, but I'm looking forward to just continuing that conversation in November. President Lagarta, if there's anything you want to add here before we move on to Rose.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I really think that role clarity is something that we could all benefit from for our development in serving the community. Everybody on this board has been on this board for well over a year. So, when you join this board, you're pretty much, let's just be honest, you're thrown into it, right? And you attend these meetings, and it's really important for us to get some clarity on what this role really entails, so that we can better serve our community. Because I know that we were all chosen because we're very passionate about serving the community, and we are a good representation for not only the community, for who appointed us on city council, right? And for the library team as well. So thank you.
Great. So, next month we can take a look at the ordinance that created the Library Board of Trustees. That's really where the duties are outlined, and we can just take it from there. But this week, I think starting with a training from our city attorney is a good step one on the Brown Act, because that definitely affects your role as a trustee. And we provide this Brown Act training to all of our commissioners. So even if you've received this information before, I know at least a couple of you have, it's always helpful to have a refresher too. So with that, I will turn it over to our city attorney, Rose Zimmerman.
Great, thank you, Stephen. And thank you, Madam President and members of the Board of Trustees. I prepared a PowerPoint, and that's really just because I have it because we're on Zoom and it's easily to get lost. And the PowerPoint is a little extensive, and I don't want to keep you here all night going through the nuances of the Brown Act. And I'm also well aware that some of you might have already attended the training for the Brown Act, so this will serve really as a refresher course and as a general overview and summary. And at any time, any members of the Board of Trustees have any questions, feel free to chime in with questions. Again, it's just served as a general overview. So I'm going to, Stephen, do I have powers to share?
I believe that you should, yes.
Okay. All right, let's see if I can do this. Can you see
Yes.
the PowerPoint? Okay. Let me get out of all these other windows I have. Okay. Okay, so, and on this, Stephen, am I able to maneuver? Oh, I am. Thank you. Sorry, but I'm. Okay, so this, as you know, as members of the Library Board of Trustees, you are all subject to the open meetings laws, also known as the Brown Act. And I will figure out how to maneuver this. Okay, so let's just kind of start off with the basics, and I will kind of go over sort of the general overview as to how the ordinance defines the role of the Library Board of Trustees. As you know, California has probably the most restrictions and openness for the Brown Act, and the government code governs that. The overall transparency and the public participation of the local government is the general purpose of the Brown Act. Its intent is all members of the legislative body, the Library Board of Trustees as a local body agency shall be open in public, and all members of the public are permitted to attend any of the meetings of the local agency unless there's an exception that applies. And those exceptions we'll go over, but I think most of you might know that the closed session are usually what we're talking about when we talk about exceptions to the rule. And at any time, I said, I know if you have any questions, if I'm going too fast or anything, please feel free. This is intended to be sort of an informal training. So Most of you were appointed, some of you have served on boards before, and some of you are well aware that the Daly City Municipal Code establishes the governing body of the Library Board of Trustees. And that's Daly City Code Chapter 2.26. So the Education Code establishes when you have a public library, you do have a board of library trustees that is appointed by the City Council. Here we say it's the mayor as directed with the consent of the City Council. And that is consisting of 5 members of the board, such as yourself, and the powers are expressly stated in the State Education Code and otherwise expressly enumerated in the Daly City Municipal Code. The term for the trustee, they serve in the advisory capacity at the pleasure of the City Council, and the terms are for a 3-year term. Some of the duties I kind of pointed out, it can be a little bit cumbersome, but I pointed out sort of the key terms of the roles of the Library Board of Trustees as expressly stated in the municipal code. And it is to act in the advisory capacity of the City Council as it pertains to issues pertaining to the city public library. That can include concerns and advice on budget items, capital improvements, facility issues, and other items that pertain to the community. You can also provide budgetary issues as advice to the city manager, to the City Council, and that serves as a report, as an advisory. That also takes into account perspectives, community issues, roles that you see in terms of programming as it pertains to the library. And part of that role can include community opinions and perceptions that are out in the community as it pertains to the Daly City Public Library. As it relates to staff, the city manager appoints the staff liaison, which in this case, you have Stephen Stolte as the staff liaison, or the director of library services to serve as the staff coordinating and reports over to the Board of Trustees. Meetings. The Library Board of Trustees, they have regular meetings, and that is every Tuesday at 6 o'clock in the Daly City Chambers. We are mindful that, given that we're in COVID times, that the governor did relax the rules of the Brown Act, so hence we're all on Zoom and we don't have members of the public necessarily attending our meetings, but they do have access to the meetings if they need to be a part of it. The board itself can also have special meetings, and I know Stephen talked about looking at the ordinance. If we didn't want to have that as a part of a regular meeting, the board can also set what we call study sessions, and you probably have seen that with the City Council. And that can be a study session where we don't have members of the public necessarily speaking on every item, but it can be a working session with the board. And Stephen, as your staff liaison, can coordinate that and work with you in terms of having a special study session meeting for the board. This segues into the topic of this evening, which is the Brown Act. Because you are a legislative body appointed by the City Council, you are subject to the Open Meetings Law and governed by the Brown Act. Who's subject to the Act? Boards such as yourself, legislative bodies, city councils, and bodies that create a formal action of the legislative body. So you can have a commission, you can have a standing committee, you can have a task force, and you can have appointed trustees such as yourself, which would be subject to the Brown Act. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that anytime you have a meeting, it is in public, and the public has a right to those meetings. What is a meeting? It's a majority of the members, which a 5-person board, a quorum, creates 3 members of the board, creates a majority that hears, discusses, or deliberates on any item that is subject to the body. So any item that can be considered before the board, if 3 members of the board start to discuss it and it can become before an issue, that can be considered a meeting. What are examples of that? Any kind of informed decision before you have a final vote. Some cases you have these informal gatherings such as lunches and social gatherings, and we by all means don't want to say when you're on a board together that you can't be together, because that's not the intent. The intent really is if you do get together, that you're not discussing matters that come before the board. And if that does happen, that can be considered a meeting, and that is subject to the Brown Act. Given the times that we're in right now, means of communication goes beyond obviously just having a public meeting and gathering. I don't know if people really use the telephone, but you have like emails and telephones. You can have Facebook, you can have Nextdoor. To the extent that you have discussion boards and 5 members of the body start to discuss an issue that may come before the board, that can be considered a meeting. And this is definitely has changed with the means of communication that we've had that broadens the scope of communications for boards and discussions. One of the things that becomes sort of the hot ticket item is what we call a serial meeting. A serial meeting is essentially a meeting, and it's when you don't necessarily speak to all 5 members of the board, but you do speak to them at some point on the same issue. So for instance, one of the board members emails someone about an issue, you're only speaking to one other person, but then that gets forwarded to another person. That third person has now become subject to a meeting. And this happens quite a bit given just sort of the access to communication and wanting to discuss it. So we really try to advise that this is not permissible, and to the extent that a consensus is reached because of a series of emails or texts or chats or something like that, that it can be a serial meeting, which is actually prohibited under the Brown Act. There are instances where you need clarification, and you may need to talk to Stephen about an issue. That is not a violation of the Brown Act. However, if Stephen now acts as a go-between and starts polling the answers or discussions, then that can be considered as using Stephen to gain a consensus on an issue, which I know doesn't happen. I'm just saying that's really what we're looking at when they use sort of the go-between and using staff or non-legislative body members. That the Brown Act is very cognizant of what does look like a meeting, that we don't gain a consensus before the legislative body is able to deliberate on it. Exceptions to the meeting laws, like I said, being part of the Library Board of Trustees, we don't in any way want to think that you can't be together. You can attend conferences and gatherings that are open to the public. If all 5 Board of Library Trustees want to attend a council meeting, they definitely can be there together. They can go to other legislative body meetings, as well as purely social or ceremonial occasions. Where it becomes an issue is when you use those gatherings to have discussions on issues and points. Does anybody have any questions? I don't want to just keep talking at any time if anybody has any questions. Okay. We talked about this. Polling is one of the things that become sort of an issue. We can't poll our members. And again, with technology being as easy as it is then by polling, you are creating consensus. We talked a little bit about this. This is communications. So these things are limited exceptions that you can have, as if you want to have a communication to set a meeting, you want to have scheduling issues, but you don't want to talk about the merits of it. If you want clarifications, you can definitely do that. That's not considered a meeting. So the agenda is posted because you have a regular meeting. It's posted 72 hours before the meeting, which we do. And if you had a special meeting, you can post it 24 hours. Rarely happens for our boards and commissions, but in some instances you can have an emergency meeting, which is 1 hour before the meeting, as long as you allow the media to be aware of it. These are for dire emergencies and notices to the meeting. Given COVID times, this is relaxed a little bit, but we do have to have a physical location for posting our agendas. We do post it in front of City Hall, and because we have a city website, we are required to post this also on our website, which we do. What goes on the agenda? Most of the time, business items on the agenda is prepared by your staff liaison. So Stephen can put business items before the agenda. The Board of Trustees can also discuss items that they would like to see on a future agenda, and that would be agendized as well, assuming that is something that the board would like to take up or discuss. No action or discussion item not appearing on the agenda can be discussed. There is general public comments that we allow for regular meetings, and those you can have for clarifications and questions, but not deliberation. To the extent that an issue rises from the public, you can talk to the staff liaison or you talk to Stephen and say, "Hey, I really think the board should take this up," and that can be a subject for discussion. So things that are exceptions, it's like that are not on the agenda, you can ask for clarifications, you can briefly respond to statements, you can break brief announcements for things, or request to put another item on the future agenda. The public, this is the main crux of it, is that the public has access to all of the agenda items. They have access to your backup documents, as well as to the extent that you have an agenda packet and you write on it and a member of the public would like to request what you wrote, that is not confidential. That becomes part of the public record. Anything that is public, that is accessible and is a business record is subject to the Public Records Act. So they are privy to it to the extent that they request it. The public can make a standing request for agenda materials. So, and this is usually done through our city clerk's office. Adding an item to the agenda that's not on there rarely happens in boards and commissions, but to the extent that it does happen, you have to have a 4/5 vote to put something on the agenda. Has to be an emergency, and it should be some item that requires immediate action. And you usually have to make findings for that before you can add something to the agenda. And this is just so that members of the public are usually noticed as to what items are going to be heard before the board, so that if they have public comments, they can make it. This is particularly important that we agendize it because given the restrictions we have, not being able to appear in public, most of the public comments have to be made either prior to the meeting. So there is a heavy reliance on what is stated in the agenda. And most of the time people are not appearing or making comments at the meeting during this relaxed time that we have because of COVID. Again, this is just sort of people have a right to record the meetings. This has been a little bit difficult given where we are, but in normal times, they are allowed to record and fill the meetings as long as they're not disrupting the meeting. And when we record a meeting, we do have to make it available for inspection, and it has to be retained within 30 days. This one we talked about. The public has a right to comment on any item on the agenda before you deliberate and before you vote. They also have a right on a regular meeting to talk about any subject matter that may not be on the agenda. That's the public comment period. And we usually call it sort of the open mic area of the part of the agenda. So one of the things that is particularly important for the chair is running the meeting. And the chair does run the meeting. And to the extent that it goes out of hand and you need to restrict some of the public comment, for instance, you can do that as long as the rules are fair to everybody, that you don't, and this restriction or reasonable limits on time is usually so that you can have a good meeting. You don't want to have a disruptive meeting. You want to allow everybody to have it. So we need to have fair rules that are adopted for conducting the meeting. We've had some situations where if it does get overly disruptive, that the chair can clear the room. So after public comment, so the public does not disrupt the deliberation of the meeting. And also you can call it recess. Okay. There are no secret ballots. We don't have secret ballots. Here's one of the things that we talked about, exceptions to the rule of the public meetings law. And I don't believe a lot of our boards and commission have this, but you do have the authority to do it if this were to become an issue, is a meeting in closed session. And closed sessions are meetings that are really just with staff and with the board itself, usually with their counsel or attorney. And closed session items have to be expressly authorized by the statute. And those items are personnel matters, pending anticipated litigation, labor negotiations, real property negotiations, and any public security threat. It has to fall within these categories or you can't have a closed session. You can't just have closed sessions randomly. And so that's what we're talking about agenda. So one of the things that most of our boards and commissions will run is the order of the meeting. And the chair is usually responsible for assuring order of the meeting, assuring that there's decorum amongst its peers and amongst its members. The city adopted the Roberts Rules of Order for motions, but Roberts Rules of Order is not the law. It essentially just gives us a guiding post as to how we conduct a meeting for meeting decorum. The law is actually the Open Meetings Law, which is the Brown Act. And that falls in line with what I believe most of you would be involved in is making motions for items. And you're probably aware of this, but a motion is a proposal by one of the commissioners or board members to take action, usually a second. You can have a roll call of the votes or a voice vote to approve a motion. This is kind of going towards the end, but violations of the Brown Act are personnel liabilities. If somebody is knowingly violating it rarely happens. It's governed by the enforcement agency is the district attorney's office when we have violations of the Brown Act. It's not my office. And it is a misdemeanor. There are civil remedies, which is usually the case. Most of the time, if there is not so much a willful violation of the Brown Act and maybe you attended a party and people started talking, somebody can initiate a lawsuit, but most likely what will happen is it'll go back to the board for a full vote to cure and correct what needs to happen. Most of the time, that's usually the case. Cities would be liable for costs and attorney's fees. And if you voted on something that was not in open forum, then essentially you would be voiding that action. And as the board is an advisory, that most likely happens at the council level where they actually finalize actions. But most of the time, even the board of trustees themselves would be subject to making sure that all the decisions are made in public. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It really, these are resources. This is a PowerPoint that I gave to Stephen, so it can be made available if there are any additional questions. Here's the resources. The Attorney General, the Institute for Local Government also has a very extensive ethics and guiding post for the Brown Act. And again, there are executive orders that have changed it a little bit just because of where we are with COVID, but for the most part, everybody's still maintaining the open access that's needed. So that's all I have at this point. So if there's anybody has any questions or clarifications, I'm here at this first phase of the Brown Act presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Rose.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rose.
Thank
I
you.
do have a question.
Yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned the special meetings.
Yes.
So the special meetings, you said that we could use that as a way to kind of, like learn if we could coordinate with like Stephen. Is that in addition to our regular meetings or can we do that?
Yes, they are. So special meetings are special because they're not regular,
Okay.
essentially. So yes, so you can do a study session. We would call that a special meeting, and Stephen would just agendize that as a special meeting. And they're usually meetings that are not part of your regular time.
Okay, so it's not to replace a regular meeting.
No,
but we
no.
could ask for a special meeting study session in addition,
Right.
as long as
Yeah.
we coordinate and then it's closed off to the public.
Well, it's not closed out to the public. That's a
Oh,
closed
it's not,
session.
okay.
No, but if you want to do a study session, you still have to notice it. It's a special meeting, but you don't have to take public comment. because you
I
can
see.
be a working meeting, or if you just want to engage, get additional information because you want maybe Stephen to look into something else, then you would still agendize what you will be discussing. So for instance, I kind of jumped in when you were talking about potential changes to the ordinance. And maybe you wanted to talk to Stephen about what are those potential changes. We would still agendize it as a study session dealing with the ordinance. But you would not necessarily need the public to comment because it's a special meeting and they don't need to comment on it.
Would it require a quorum?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So it's a meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments before we move forward? Okay,
I'm good, thank you.
thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
All right. So if we can move on to the director's report.
I will pass that off to Shayla.
All right. So at the last meeting, a member of the board inquired about our library policies and any adjustments that have been made in response to COVID-19. And we have not made many adjustments, but the adjustments we've made have been either practical considerations because our library buildings are closed, and so we're doing more over the phone and at the door without people coming in. And also just things to make life hopefully easier, make it easier for our community members to use the library. So fines and fees, we do have a fines and fees policy, but the library is not currently handling cash or card payments in any of our buildings. We do have online e-commerce, so if somebody has lost a book, they can pay for it that way, but we're not taking cash at the door. We are backdating returns. So when items are returned to the library, we talked about this, we're quarantining them. And then when they are checked in, they are being backdated. So there's not going to end up being late fines accruing. They do, however, still automatically go into billed status. But then if the items are subsequently returned, there's nothing owed. We're also waiving the fee for card replacement so that people will have a card if they've misplaced theirs when they come in to pick up the items during curbside. And then also to hopefully address some digital divide problems in the community, we're introducing curbside printing, which normally there would be a charge for that, but at this time we're up to 10 pages at no charge. And we've also made a slight adjustment to our library card policy so that patrons, they could always go online and register and get a temporary account with us. But now they are also able to reach out and we'll provide them with a full 14-digit library card number via email, so they don't have to come in for that. When they're ready to get their physical card, they can come in during curbside and pick that up by showing their photo ID. But in the interim, the full library card number will allow them to use our full suite of e-resources online. And then for device checkouts, we are checking them out for 3 weeks instead of the 1 week that we have previously. This is considered a best practice, and I think pretty much all the libraries are going this direction. We're also phasing out or temporarily pausing with the signing of the agreement just for fewer touches of things as a safety measure. And then we had held the items when somebody called to ask it to be set aside for a certain period of time. And now we're just adjusting that to be through the end of the next curbside window at the location of their choice. And then we're also doing something called floating the collection. So when somebody returns a hotspot or a Chromebook, if they returned it to John Daly, but the item had belonged to the ceremony library, we're actually just going to keep it at the John Daly Library to be checked out from there. And the purpose of this is just to try and increase availability by eliminating the transit time, which is not necessarily, and hopefully it would also allow it to go maybe be where there is a greater demand temporarily as people's needs shift. So those are the adjustments that we've made. They're all temporary at this time, but we really wanted to make sure that, we're making things as easy as possible for people to access our services. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
So for the 10 pages that you're printing for patrons, like what is that process? I'm just curious.
So we have wireless printing, which we had before all the pandemic stuff. And so there's various ways that people can utilize this online from home. Print jobs are sent either through an app that you can download by sending an item as an attachment. The attachment is printed to a specific email address. It's an automated process. Or using a website, and those instructions are on our website, and the items go into kind of a holding thing with our service that does the wireless printing. They are cleared overnight, so this is something that people who want to use it have to do the same day, but they can look at our schedule for curbside, find a location, and then send their job. We won't release it until they've come to pick it up, because we don't want to release things that don't end up being utilized. So and when they come in during curbside, they will just let the staff person know that they are printing, and we'll find their job we have a queue of print jobs, and we'll release it and turn it over from there.
And I'm assuming that clearance period is like security, right? Like there may be like some things that we're not able to print for patrons.
The jobs are removed overnight by an automated process, and it's for privacy, but also just to keep the system functioning, because there are a lot of libraries that use this same software.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? So, Shayla, I was notified recently that my daughter won't be returning to school till possibly January. I'm assuming this is aligned with the libraries as well.
We do not at this time have a timeline for reopening the doors for people to come into the library. We will of course continue to provide as many services as we can through the door, at the door.
But it's not like they haven't said, through the end of the year, we're gonna have the libraries closed.
No, we do not have a specific timeline. As things continue to evolve, and we don't want to set a date if things go in the wrong direction.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Shayla? Okay.
I have a question. What question, please?
Okay.
Well, when we're given, like hopefully to the grace of God that we will be giving a day to go back, do we have a plan like phase 1, phase 2, and how do we slowly transitioning to a fully capacity as we normally do? And how many participants or patrons that needs to come in, for the first 2 weeks, and then for the next 3 weeks it will be 5 more, something like that.
So the current plan is to start off with a reservation system for 1-hour reservations, and the number of people present will be related, because we're assuming that a lot of people will want to use our public computers. This is a service we've not been able to provide, and it was always in high demand. So that will be based on the number of computers that we can provide with social distancing, which unfortunately is fewer than we normally would have, and then as well as people who want to browse or pick up their holds. And so people will come in for that 1-hour period, leave. We will sanitize the high touch areas, and then bring in the next group. The scheduling of that will be based on available staff, and hopefully we will be able to expand it as things improve in the wider world with regard to the pandemic.
And what about our vulnerable ages? Is that going to be another thing to look at or to be considered?
Like a special time for senior citizens, is that what you mean? But it's definitely something
Yeah,
that
something
we
like
can
that.
look at. We intend to make the library as safe as is possible for everybody, but we could definitely look at having a dedicated time.
Thanks, Shayla.
Mhm.
Thank you, Shayla.
Mhm.
Okay, so I will go forward with the trustees report. I don't have
Shayla
a-
actually has more content.
For the language, there were questions about language access, item 4.
did we? Oh, okay. Okay. Did you want to talk about the language access?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I actually have a little PowerPoint just so
Okay.
you have something to look at. And so we very much appreciated the feedback. Can you see our curbside information up on the screen? So after our last meeting, I was able to work with the fantastic people at the Senior Center. A big shout out to Angelo over there and his wonderful team. We focused on getting translations for what we felt was the most critical information that maybe hasn't reached everyone in our community. And so they were able to provide us with professional, non-machine made, human made translations of this information. So you can see that we have the Spanish here, and we have it in traditional Chinese and in Tagalog as well. So we're very happy about this. We have this posted up at all of our locations, and we're going to be providing some handouts at key places where we think that will be particularly effective. And then we also had, Sarah's going to talk about this a little bit more, but we also looked at those posts that could most benefit from being made available in other languages, and they were able to assist us with this as well. We do have a small number of staff who speak different languages, but because we're spreading people out due to, for safety protocols, and because we are a small staff to begin with, the chances of people calling and being able to get a hold of somebody who speaks their language is somewhat low. So we're encouraging people actually to email as well, because then it gives us time. The staff over at the Senior Center have said that they can assist us with that, and we can also, use machine translation to get the general gist of things. And I think that is it for that one. The next topic would be the update. Were there, going back on the translations, were there any questions about that?
No, thank you.
I just again want to express gratitude to the Senior Center staff on that. So, and then next there was just an update on programs and services.
Thank you, Shayla.
Mm.
Did anybody have any additional questions regarding language access? I think it's they did a fantastic job. If there are requests for additional languages, who should the public contact, or who should we contact?
So the staff at the Senior Center are able to provide these 3 languages, which are the the most common ones that in our community, but certainly there are people who speak a multitude of other languages, and we would have to research where we can find resources to assist with that, and reach out to colleagues in other libraries or whatever else we might be able to do. So definitely, yeah, let me know.
Thank you. And moving on to library programs and services updates.
So I'm going to start and then I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. But I think we discussed this a little bit earlier. I just wanted to reiterate that we have expanded our curbside out to all 4 of our locations at this time, and we're started off a little bit slow because we did a soft launch. That's our favorite thing to do. We had to, all of the materials for all the libraries were at Ceremony, and they had to be moved to the other location, and we didn't want to create any confusion, so we started off pretty slow with that, but it's picking up. I saw that they had, I think it was 45 people come in today at Westlake, which is nice, and definitely, you know, we're seeing the right trend at that location. And it looked like John Daly had also gone up as well, and Ceremony's holding pretty steady. So we're pleased with that. And then this is for Sarah. Sarah has a bunch of really exciting things going on, and yeah, she's going to let you know about them.
Okay, hi everyone. So I just put this little presentation together about the programs that we're starting this month. So these are in addition to our regular story times that we have, our weekly story times. So can you move it forward? Okay, I think I talked a little bit about this last month. So we are partnering with San Mateo County Jobs for Youth and the Recreation Department, Library and Recreation. So we're holding 6 workshops. They're weekly workshops via Zoom, and they're for San Mateo County residents, ages 14 to 21. And each workshop gives them a little more help in getting their first job. And so they're building confidence and gaining important job seeking skills. So we've done 2 so far. The first one was soft skills. So it's just giving them an idea of what their transferable skills are once they try to get a job. And then last week was, oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Was it networking?
What was it?
Networking?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So last week was networking, and it's been really great to partner with them. So Edgardo from Rec and I are there every week with the Jobs for Youth person, Rosa, and I think the first week we had, I think, 10 people, and then last week I think we had 12 or 13. So it's steadily growing, and it's just a really great opportunity for these youth to get these skills. And another great part about this program is if they register to be to even just take, I think it's, they can take one of these classes, and they can be in a raffle, I think, for a $1,500 scholarship. They give away 20 scholarships each year. I don't think it's a raffle. I think they might have to, I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but they might have to write something, but just for taking one of the workshops. And then they just have all these resources from Jobs for Youth. Every week they send them information about, you know, what they went over during the workshop. They get to keep that information. So it's been really great. We have 4 more. All right, next. So this is really exciting. We have started world language story times, and I feel excited because we were able to find 2 people that are very passionate about these programs. And so we are doing a Spanish bilingual story time. This person, we've hired these people. She's going to be doing 3 pre-recorded videos, and we can keep them up on our website for a month. So we have those scheduled. So we're going to be doing those once a month. The first one is actually coming up this Saturday at 10:15. So we'll be playing those on Facebook, Instagram, and up on our YouTube channel. And then we also hired a Mandarin, someone to do Mandarin story time. And she is a teacher in Burlingame. She also provides these Mandarin story times for the Burlingame Library. She's been doing that for 5 years. So she came highly recommended by one of my colleagues at Burlingame. So she's doing 3 live story times. We just had our first one last Sunday. It's once a month on Sunday. And so for those ones, people do need to register. We had about 40 families, which was amazing for us. And she's just so great. She is going to be doing the 3 live story times, and then 2, actually she provided us 3 pre-recorded ones that we can just keep up. So that's what we're going to be having. So it's basically 8 story times, and it was just a little over $1,000. So that's October, November, December. So this is just in like more detail about Jamie's Mandarin story times and when they are. So it's going to be the 3rd Sunday, I think, yeah, the 3rd Sunday, I'm sorry, of each month, so October, November, December. And then the pre-recorded ones we'll get to keep up as long as we want. All right, Sheila, you can. And then Mariella's music time, she's doing the 3 pre-recorded ones, and we will she's letting us keep those up for a month. So October, November, and December. And the first one will be this Saturday if you want to tune in at 10:15 or anytime after that. All right. And then we've also been trying to recruit volunteers if anyone is interested in providing a story time or assistance for story time. So initially we've had 4 people interested, and then as I tried to reach out to them, there's actually 1 person that I've been in contact with, and he is interested in reading Spanish, the Spanish language books. So it's a little tricky to do this virtually, especially if he's not used to doing it. But I'm working with him. I've found some books for him, and I'm going to check them out to him. He's going to come pick them up, and then he is planning to read one of the books and then send us the video, so we can figure out the best way to put it up. We're still trying to figure out how to market this. It won't be an actual story time, but it'll be more of just reading a book in a different language that's not English. So we're working on that, but it's a good start. And I'm excited. It's a regular patron that has kids and really values the library, and so I'm very honored that he's willing to do this, and I think it'll be good. It's just going to take a little bit of time, so we don't have an exact time frame for that, but that's in the works. All right, Taylor, you can move it on. And then I did talk about this last month as well. This is in partnership with the San Mateo County Office of Education and the other Peninsula libraries. We are featuring the One Book, One County this month is called George by Alex Gino. And so as part of that, the different libraries are providing programs to celebrate that book. And so this Friday, I'm going to be doing a Pride Story Time on Facebook Live. So just because we are part of that, and it's a great partnership. All right, next, please. Okay, so we have another thing, we're having an artist come, and we're doing a virtual program with Eileen Castanetto as the San Mateo County Poet Laureate. And she asked if we could host this program. Bren is a Filipino American artist and muralist from Daly City. So he actually went to, I know he went to Westmore High School. He graduated from Westmore. I can't remember the other schools, but he went to elementary, middle, and high school in Daly City. He lives in Boston now, but he's going to be doing this Zoom presentation on Thursday, the 29th at 5 o'clock. That's on Zoom, so registration's required for that. But he's going to be talking about his life as an artist, and so this is actually a really great family-friendly program for all ages. So I've reached out to the schools in Daly City, just letting them know, he went to school in Daly City. This might be a great program for their students, and so the librarians I spoke to are excited about it, and they're going to share with their schools. All right. So I think that, yeah. So yeah, it's been a busy month coming up with these programs, but I'm so excited, and I think this will be great for our community. Any questions or concerns or comments?
Hi, Sarah. I have a question for the youth thing, for the youth job.
Jobs for youth?
Yes,
Mhm.
jobs for youth.
Mhm.
Do they have to be attending those classes all the consecutive for them? I mean, to be what is it? Be qualified for that scholarship?
No, so what
No.
I read, I'm sorry, what I read was they just need to attend one.
One.
They need to register as I think they call it a member, like a Jobs for Youth member. But the great thing is that they do these workshops all over. So what we're telling the youth is if they, don't come to the first two and they come to the third one, and then they think, oh, I wish I would have gone to the first or second. They have them going on in other locations. So the person at Jobs for Youth is like willing to talk to them, and they can sign up for another workshop. But they don't even have to do all of them. It's
Okay.
just that's what they recommend, because it's really great. Like each step, but they don't have to.
Thank you. For the I know that Stephen reached out to me, Mr. Stokes, that there is a book already in the Samoan language.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I have been so bombarded with everything that's going on with work and school, so I am still coming to get that book probably sometime before the end of this week, and then we'll go from there. I will arrange the time and everything with either you or Steven or Gemma.
Great.
But I wanted to thank you for, it's, the city of Daly City, it's a beautiful city. And when I see all the languages that it's already, implemented and it's already there, it's just like Christmas to me. It's like, wow, like that we can do it. And it's just a matter of, like coming together and doing and being part of it. So I applaud all of you guys for doing a wonderful job and putting those together. And even these programs for our youth and for the little ones, it's beautiful. I saw Karen's story time on Facebook Live. I love Karen. Karen was there in Bayshore, and when I used to bring my classroom over there, they love her, with her story time. So thank you again, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate, and the whole library staff, your dedication to diversity and inclusion. It's so exciting to see the story time in Mandarin. I ran a branch that was primarily Chinese customers. And I know that language access is so important to them. And you know, there's so many different dialects too, right? Mandarin, there's Cantonese, and there's a host of others. But I really think that we're making strides into the story time and the curriculum. So I really appreciate that. I do have a question for the Jobs for Youth. So are they like accepting like volunteers for this? Or is it a designated like program?
What do you mean volunteers?
Like I'd love
Or-
to mock interview somebody, or even like, take a look at their resume and kind of like show them like what's important in a resume. And geez, resumes are not even the thing anymore. Most recently, I learned LinkedIn is the thing. And that's of importance of being
Yeah.
kind of like, tech savvy when it comes to looking for jobs. So that's just
Yeah. I
something
can
I'd be
talk to
interested in.
her about it. Yeah, it was interesting last week because we did the networking, and so she did have us break into groups, and so Edgardo and I kind of went into like little rooms with a couple of the teens, and we're supposed to talk about a power pitch. And so she had talked about that, and this was hysterical because these teenagers, I mean, I'm like, okay, do you guys have a power pitch that you were thinking? And they're just like, no, I don't know. Like they don't know what to say. And so, but it was just a great experience for me to like get to talk to them about, their life and how it's hard right now with COVID and what's going on. And so, I spent some time just talking to them, but it's just all of these things are so new to them. And so it was interesting to be able to share with them, and I just felt so old because
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh. Well, my son is like taking he took with a workshop, and he's 17, and so it's just funny because I don't know, it's so different. I'll check with her and find out if because I think we will be doing the interviewing, and I think she's probably gonna have them talk about, try to do an interview, but I'm not sure. I just kind of show up and do what she tells me to do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of volunteer. But
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
a great idea. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we are over time. So my portion's actually pretty short. I'm gonna have this consistently, like meeting after meeting, with the volunteer opportunities, right? I just wanted to thank Trustee Justine for signing up for a curbside pickup to volunteer, and also Vice President Faupua in volunteering for the story time. It really is, I understand that it's COVID and we're doing things with our families and trying to really keep safe, but I really do appreciate the engagement. And I think that, we do have these meetings, month after month, but it would be really good to get out there and, be in the communities. And although we're limited on face-to-face, looking at other ways where we could, really show support. We can also, once again, support Victoria with DCPLA in promoting, a membership with DCPLA and really being an advocate for that. I do have a small list, Victoria, so I'll connect with you. I just have to figure out the PayPal thing. Is PayPal the only way, or we're still like are you still accepting like checks mailed to the office?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, a large portion of our members are seniors who don't really use digital technology very much. So we are always very happy to get a check. I just send out the PayPal link because for a lot of people that's right there. It's just like no
Yeah,
excuses. You can click right on it. But yes, we will always accept checks as well.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, and can I
and
chime in really quick, Angela?
yes.
So, yeah, thanks for the shout out. Just also wanted to own, I haven't actually been able to make it to a curbside yet. I am doing elections work for my paid work, so it's pretty intense, but I want to just commit that on the record that I want to be committed to showing up after November 3rd. So I will see y'all soon enough.
And same thing with me. I've signed up as well, but I have took on a new job at work, and the training is actually Monday through Friday. So I told Shayla, I told Stephen once my training is done, then I could definitely commit a few hours to visiting. But and we understand that everybody's busy, but it would just be nice to connect with the community. So I'll always be an advocate for that and keep that on the agenda. Um, and I just wanted to say, like as community members, we're all in this together, right? We're all in this together. We're all really passionate about like serving the community. And so let's just continue to be there for each other. It's crazy times. But I know that if we can collaborate and be kind and respectful to one another, we can really make things happen. So I appreciate everybody on here. So that's my tidbit. So I will go ahead and introduce Miss Victoria from DCPLA.
Thank you so much. I always appreciate getting the chance to address the board. Since we are over time, I'll keep it really brief. I have two things, but they're both pretty big. One thing is that we are actively seeking new directors to join our board. So if anybody knows anybody who's passionate about libraries and would like to join our team, we have lots of exciting things we're trying to do. Please feel free to email me with any names of anyone or have them email me if there's anybody who you think would be an asset to our team. We'd really appreciate it. And the other really big thing that I'm super, super excited about is that we are about to launch a brand new Daly City Youth Poet Laureate program. And I will be presenting to Daly City City Council on October 26th. So that might be the best time to get more details about that. But not only is it going to be the first time Daly City will have a Youth Poet Laureate, but this will be the first one in San Mateo County. So I'm really proud of that and really, really excited. It's in collaboration with a nonprofit called Urban Word. They have a National Youth Poet Laureate program. So this is part of a bigger thing, and we kind of bought into their program. And since this is the first time, it'll just be local, but there's the potential to grow, and hopefully maybe we'll inspire some other communities within San Mateo County to launch their own program. We could do regional competitions and move on to nationals. And I just think it'll be a great opportunity for our youth. So does anybody have any questions about it? I know I'm not really giving you any details. You'll have to find out more at the city council meeting, but if anybody has anything quick. No? Okay, cool. Well, please tune in to the city council meeting on October 26th if you want to get the details about exactly how it works and who is eligible and what we're going to do with it.
I just want to give you all props, Victoria, for getting that and bringing that program to Daly City. I think that's really awesome. I'm even thinking about just like the poetry events that have happened at the library and how powerful the young people are. And so that creativity and art definitely lives here. And I'm just super excited. I've seen some young performers from Urban Word, and they're like really amazing. So I'm excited to see what it can bring to Daly City.
Thanks. And I have to give, again, our San Mateo County Poet Laureate, Eileen Casaneto, she was the one who approached me with it. She said she'd been trying to get somebody to do this for a while. And when she brought it up to me, I was like, done, because I was so excited about this opportunity. I think it's a fantastic thing. And I hope that it'll just blossom and grow. So I really appreciate how active Eileen has been in our community, encouraging poetry. I think she's just been really done a lot for Daly City and is continuing to be a great representative for us.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And I will say I did, attend that DCPLA board meeting, and you are a great advocate for this program. You really presented it very well, I thought, and everybody seemed really happy and really engaged and excited. Sometimes, let's be honest, these meetings aren't the most fun, but everybody was super engaged. So thank you so much, Victoria, for everything you do.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so we're getting there. We're pretty much over on time. So do we have any additional announcements or communications? We're good. Okay. And so something to think about as we build the agenda is next month will probably be our last meeting for the year. And so if there are any additional topics that you all want to bring to the table for us to discuss, because we typically don't have a regular meeting in December, I encourage you to kind of speak up. Also, it might be nice to also, at some point discuss like a special meeting for some additional training or learning. I know that we're going to go over like role clarity on our next meeting. But I think we would all benefit from, an additional like special meeting. And it could be sometime next year too. So I'm actually going to go around for this. Vice President Awapua, is there anything you would want to speak about during our next meeting?
Nothing. I'm looking forward. I think we need to go through, our plan for reopening for that day.
Okay.
It's good to have a plan. Yeah, from there we need to have that plan, and I feel that we need to even have the public see it if that they have any questions or concern for reopening libraries, because what I'm seeing is that a lot of schools are not going to go back, until the next semester or next trimester. So besides what we offer so already with a lot of programs that it's so fruitful for the library right now, my thing will be the reopening.
So definitely, I believe COVID updates should be a part of our agenda, but we'll also would want to possibly discuss a reopening plan and how we would be able to address that to the public as well. Okay. What about Trustee Ruvivar?
Nothing much. I got nothing to say.
Okay. Trustee Dawes?
I would agree with Teresa on the reopening part.
And Trustee Santos?
Yeah, check on that, the reopening part as well. I'm also curious, since it might be our last meeting, which means December we won't be seeing each other. I guess I'm just curious what to expect from the libraries in December, like in terms of what the services are. Since we're not meeting, if we could just get some like heads up.
So maybe like services, hours.
Yeah, programs and
yeah.
stuff. If anything were to change, if not, that's totally understand.
All right.
One question, I'm sorry, and I know
Yeah.
this is, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
we're over time.
Go ahead.
Are there any of our library staff from any branch or any library that has been affected with losing a job or losing hours? And what do we do about that situation? Maybe that can be covered in that too.
So staffing due to COVID.
I'm sorry, I keep muting it and then I do the nodding. Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay. So I don't think we have any public comment. I would, sorry, let me, okay. So for tonight's meeting, I wanted to adjourn tonight's meeting in the memory of Omar Shahid Sahir, a former Daly City resident and student at Jefferson High School who passed away at the beginning of the month. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children and many family and friends. I have had the pleasure of going to school with Omar in high school at Jefferson High School here in Daly City. And I just remember him being so funny, caring, and such a loyal friend. And his positive energy will be missed. So on behalf of the Daly City Library Board of Trustees and the Daly City Libraries, we send our deepest condolences to his friends and family during this tough time. So thank you. I adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.